Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to another Chamber Check-in episode from Idaho's only five-star accredited chamber. Today we have Joe Anderson. He's the owner of Fortify Risk Management, and we're here to learn about his business, a little bit about his background, and a cool event he has coming up. I'm going to bring him on stage right now.
Hi,
Hey,
Paul. How
Joe.
you doing today?
Hey, I'm terrific. Hey, thanks for inviting us into your home today.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful day. I thought we'd do this outside because it's an awesome day.
Joe, you and I have known each other for a long time, and you've always been a huge friend to the chamber and the communities you serve. So I'm really excited to help share a little bit about you, your background, Fortify Risk Management, your new company, and then we'll talk about an event coming up. So let's start with you, Joe. For those that don't know you, tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about your background and history of work that led you to becoming an entrepreneur.
yeah, that's a great question. I basically, worked as a 14-year-old all the way through high school, have an accounting degree, um, and started off in commercial lending. After about 4 years there, we had the dot-com boom, which was kind of interesting, and I decided to move into commercial risk management and insurance. And so spent 24 years there, and I love that industry. It's a great industry. We get to help a lot of clients. Worked in middle market for most of that time, and about a year ago, started noticing in my professional development along the way, I had gotten a certified property and casualty underwriter designation, associates in risk management, um, and a business resiliency designation, and got really into the risk management side of things, Paul. And I started noticing in my brokerage practice that I wasn't able to do as many deep dives on risk issues that I wanted to because I was involved a little bit more in the insurance placement as well. And some of the demands of the business made it more challenging. And so as I started to look across the market at dedicated, you know, risk management firms, there wasn't a whole lot out there. And then I started thinking about, well, what would it look like to start a firm where we can come in on a part time or fractional basis and help people solve risk problems, help people reverse engineer things that might happen to them, and have a better plan to address them. And so that got me really excited.
So almost, well, 25 years in the industry, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you came up with this Fortify Risk Management. It's offering clients an opportunity to work with you and your experience and preventing some of those and being proactive and some of those issues that businesses may experience. Um, Risk is huge, right? Or
Yeah.
managing risk is a huge thing, and I think as a business owner, as business owners want to work in their business, they want somebody else to take care of managing their risk. So this is a great opportunity to get to know you, Joe.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about some of the specific services that Fortify offers.
So, well, to give you an idea of what we put together, Paul, it's not just me. And I think that's the fun part because, I'm only one guy, but we're bringing in Fortune 1000 risk managers, guys that have worked at Albertsons or Simplot, those kind of companies, Idaho Power around town, maybe Disney, Carnival Cruise Lines, who have 30-year careers in just risk management. And they're retired, but they're semi-retired and they want to work 15 or 20 hours a week. So we're bringing those guys in and we're deploying them on all kinds of risk projects for folks as an outsourced partner. So they're kind of our generalists. And then we have specialists that focus on certain industry areas like transportation, risk and safety, um, hazardous materials trainings, um, crisis communications, product liability issues. We have guys that can reverse engineer a product and tell you where the liability issues are going to come from, and then on the back end, be an expert witness when you have a product liability suit. So, forensic auditors, claims handlers. So those are the kinds of folks we can bring to the table as a team. So what we're doing is we're kind of transforming what's happened in the industry because in the past you'd go from zero, nobody, to 100% one person and there was nothing in between. And so now we're saying, okay, you can bring us in part-time, 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week. We can work on a project, but we'll bring a team together and we'll partner with your team. And the results get pretty dynamic because you just get good heads around something, and man, you come up with good ideas.
What are some of the things that you're seeing and you've seen in the past that you would communicate as a proactive approach to risk management?
So where we look at things, as an example, we had one client who was a real estate developer who was getting charged a lot of money on insurance because of a requirement for renovating a property that they have the same insurance as if they built it from the ground up. And so as a broker, I worked on that, and I had a risk manager on the other side, and him and I got talking, and we said, hey, if you were updating your building, because there's no load-bearing wall changes, if you were updating your building, the property policy would normally cover that on an ongoing basis. But because you're doing it all at one time, they're requiring this really expensive policy. And so what I did is I came up with a solution as an insurance professional saying, hey, I could write an installation floater. If you have a contractor coming in, they have their own installation floaters, I could just write one for the whole project. What he did was he went and got all the analysis done on the coverage and the risk and everything, got the lenders to approve it. And the end result was, instead of paying $50,000 for a builder's risk policy for each project, they were able to pay $5,000 for an installation floater. So that's a huge decrease. Pretty interesting example. You get into disaster recovery, business continuity planning. We see that all the time with different types of natural disasters, but also cyber and key persons leaving an organization, or a competitor moving into town and drowning you out. And so what supply chain risk issues can be another one. So what does it look like to address that early, to say, hey, you know what, we know this is coming down the road at some point. Let's set up systems and processes to reduce and eliminate risk if this does come up. So that's kind of that proactive thing. Another example would be, employee injuries. So we see that a lot with workers' compensation. A lot of times the thing you hear is that we just have stupid employees, or our employees just aren't paying attention. We told them this, right? And so we help companies get past that kind of reaction and go, okay, how do we engineer and set up your systems to really figure out what are the behaviors that are driving the claims, and what are the motivators that are driving those behaviors? And we do a little bit of science on that end, some analytics, and then we come back and we say, look, these are the things that you're motivating your employees to do, whether you realize it or not, right? And if we change these motivators, it's going to change the whole game, instead of just throwing a training at a knee injury or a training at a back injury, right? So it's that dynamic strategic side that really does have a big impact.
I love it. As if we could be more proactive in our approach with our employees and managing risk, I think that's better off in the end. And definitely going to spend less, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You have mentioned in our conversation just today a little bit about wildfire,
Yes.
and it's getting to be that season. I know fires are already starting, and Idaho. More people I talk to are like, gosh, I just hope it's not smoky this year. So the proactive approach that you're providing is you're doing a wildfire risk seminar coming up here next week, I believe. So let's help share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'd love to. So one of our approaches is we want to target topics, risk topics. So wildfires, this one, we partner with other folks. So we partnered with the Interagency Fire Center, BLM Land, and their fire management group there. We partnered with Idaho Power and the director of wildfire mitigation there. And then we're bringing up one of our consultants from the LA area, who is right in the middle of the Hughes fire and another big fire down there. He's a former CAL FIRE deputy marshal, worked with NASA at fire protection at their jet propulsion laboratories. He worked on films with Disney. You see these big action films. He was the guy behind the scenes a lot of times telling them, hey, these are the safety things that you need to make sure someone doesn't get injured on, right? And then he managed risk for Carnival Cruise Lines for all their ships in remote islands for a long period of time. So Manny's going to come up and speak to us on that. It's going to be exciting. We're going to have a tabletop kind of discussion where the folks that come get to kind of pretend like, hey, I'm in the middle of a wildfire. Let's see what I would do, right? And then we come back with, hey, here's some suggestions that you may have wanted to consider when you were ironing this out that might have really helped you, right? Because when a wildfire hits, as we're talking to Manny, you might only have an hour or two to get ready. And so, I might want to have some things set up ahead of time. And that's kind of the idea. So whether it's a business or a vacation home, or your home is in a wildfire zone, that's the kind of thing we're trying to bring experts from different angles to the table. We also have Dustin Carlson with SRA 831B, and they're a funding source for uninsured areas in your insurance policies. So for a business, kind of like an HSA where you can put money away for unfunded medical expenses, you can put tax-free money away in a captive, a little micro captive, to pay for deductibles, to pay for uninsured coverages. So all through COVID, they were paying out claims for extra cleaning expenses and extra lost income where the insurance policies were excluding that. And they actually have 4 active claims down in California right now where their insurance policy is not covering because there was not a property loss. In order for the loss of revenue to kick in, you have to have an actual property loss. But these guys are experiencing loss of revenue because everything's harder to do in that environment, right? And so that's kind of fun when you can bring a lot of different angles to a problem and go, hey, there are some things we can do. We don't just have to sit back and wait and hope it never happens, right?
I love it. Thanks for explaining that a little bit. And the event is June 18th, 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at the National Interagency Fire Center.
That's
And
correct.
like Joe mentioned, we're going to have that keynote speaker, Manny Chavez, John Axman with Idaho Power, Dustin Carlson, like you mentioned, and TJ Clifford with BLM as well. So way to put together a great group of panelists. You can
My goal is
register.
just to get guys that are smarter than me in the room, and it makes me look good.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're interested in attending that breakfast, go to fortifyriskmanagement.com or give the chamber a call. We can get you set up. Another thing I want to talk about before we let you go, Joe, is I want people to know how engaged you are in your community. Help share just the tip of the iceberg of things that you have done in the past that's helped your community.
Well, we ran a big tailgate down at Boise State. I like to cook. And so we'd feed all the off-duty police officers down there, and that was just fun, and they were blessed by it. And out of that cropped a ministry called Back the Blue Idaho, where we get together every Christmas Day and feed local law enforcement a Christmas dinner. And this is smoked meat, it's smoked brisket, Louisiana dry rub chicken, some nice stuff. And we started doing that at the Meridian Police Department about 8 years ago with just some friends and throwing some money together. And now it's grown into a group where we have 80 volunteers and 450 meals that we do every single year. And this last year, Paul, to give you an example of how cool my volunteers are, we got norovirus right before the Christmas dinners. I mean, literally like 4 days before. And so I didn't want to get these officers, it's very contagious. And it took out my whole family. I mean, and so I had people just jumping in, working like full days. And I'm like, hey, that's pretty awesome. So what I get to do is help bring people together around some good causes. We ran some rallies for the police when the riots were going on, just to let them know, hey, we appreciate you. So that's really important. Other things I get involved in, Meridian Kiwanis. So we work with kids on a lot of kid charity stuff, and that's really exciting. The Boys and Girls Club of Ada County is another big one. And then we just try to be helpful with my church at Rock Harbor and some other things. So, the way I look at it is I've had so many people bless me. It's just a great opportunity to kind of give back and be a blessing in the ways that I can.
Joe, thanks so much for your continued support of the chamber, obviously the communities you serve. It's really important. And our friendship over the past 10 years has just meant a lot to me as well. So thanks for the membership with the chamber. Thanks for your friendship, and thanks for all you do in the community.
Thanks, Paul. You're such a blessing to me, and appreciate the chamber. If you're not involved with Boise Metro Chamber, it's such a great group, and they do a really good job at getting you connected with people. So I've really enjoyed that with our new venture. Thank you, Paul.
You bet. Hey, we'll see you at the breakfast next week, and please reach out to me if you want to attend the wildfire risk seminar. I think it's really important. If you're not able to go, if you are able to go and you don't show up, you're missing out. All right, Joe. Hey, have a great weekend. Thanks for your time.
God bless, Paul. Thanks.